Betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the person you swore you'd ride or die with. I learned that lesson the hard way when my best friend Calista didn't just stab me in the back. She twisted the knife, laughed about it, and then tried to bury me with my own dreams. But here's the thing about betrayal. It either breaks you or forges you into something unstoppable. And me? I chose unstoppable. This is how I went from rock bottom to the top, watching everything she stole crumble in her hands. This is how I learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who'll hurt you the most. And this is how I discovered that revenge isn't just sweet, it's profitable. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever had your dreams stolen right from under you, if you've ever been told you're not good enough, this story is for you. Because what happened to me could happen to anyone. But what did I do about it? That's what separates winners from victims. Calista and I met in college during freshman orientation. Same dorm, same broken student problems, same big dreams of making it big in the business world. We clicked instantly. While other girls were worrying about parties and boys, we stayed up late talking about startups and success stories. She was smart, I'll give her that. Sharp tongue, quick wit, and ambitious as hell. That's what I liked about her. That's also what should have been my first red flag, but I was too young and naive to see it. "We're going to own this world," she'd say, eyes lighting up like she could already see the money rolling in. These other students have no idea what's coming. I believed her. More than that, I trusted her. We became inseparable. Study partners, business plan partners, dream partners. For 3.5 years, we were like sisters. She came from money. Her dad owned a successful restaurant supply business in Chicago. Designer clothes, new car every year, never worried about student loans. Me? I worked 2 part-time jobs just to afford ramen and textbooks. But she never made me feel less than. That's what I thought made her special. Looking back, I think she kept me around because I was useful. I had the brains, the work ethic, the technical skills. She had the connections and the confidence. Together, we seemed unstoppable. We'd spend hours in the library, not studying for classes, but researching business opportunities. Reading Forbes, analyzing market trends, dreaming up the next big thing. Other students thought we were crazy. The professors loved our ambition. "You two are going to change the world," Professor Martinez told us after we presented a mock business plan for our entrepreneurship class. We got the highest grade in the class. We thought we were invincible. It hit me during spring break of senior year. Instead of going to Cancun like most of my classmates, I went home to help my mom with her struggling catering business. She'd been running it for 5 years, but barely making ends meet. I watched her drowning in paperwork, losing clients because she couldn't keep up with orders and marketing at the same time. She had 3 different apps for scheduling, 2 different systems for payments, and was doing inventory tracking with literal pen and paper. "Mom, there has to be a better way," I said, watching her stress over a catering order that had gotten mixed up because of poor communication. That's when it clicked, a platform that would connect small food businesses with customers directly. Not just delivery like the big companies, but full-service management. Inventory tracking, customer reviews, automated marketing, payment processing, scheduling, staff management. Everything small businesses needed but couldn't afford to buy separately. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. This wasn't just another up idea. This was a solution to a real problem that millions of small business owners faced every day. I was so excited I could barely sleep. I spent the entire week mapping out features, researching competitors, and calculating market size. First person I called when I got back to campus? Calista. "This is it," I told her, pacing my tiny apartment while she sat on my second-hand couch. "This is our ticket. I'm talking about a multi-billion-dollar market that's completely underserved." She listened to every detail, asked smart questions, took notes on her iPad. I showed her my research, my mock-ups, and my business plan draft. Hours and hours of work spread across my coffee table. "You're onto something big here," she said, nodding slowly. "Really big. This could be the one that makes us both rich." I should have noticed how she said "makes us both rich" instead of "helps small businesses." But I was too caught up in the excitement to hear the difference. We should do this together, Calista said the next day when she showed up at my apartment with coffee and pastries from the expensive place downtown. Equal partners. I've got connections from my dad's restaurant supply business. You've got the vision and technical skills. We'd be unstoppable. It made perfect sense. I needed her network, her family's business connections, her confidence in dealing with investors. She needed my technical background, my understanding of the problem, and my detailed research. We shook on it right there in her car, both of us grinning like we'd already made our first million. I felt like I was finally about to become the person I'd always dreamed of being. For the next few weeks, we worked on it together constantly. She handled potential investor research while I refined the platform design and user interface. We split everything 50-50 costs, work, responsibilities, dreams. She introduced me to Selwyn, a friend of her father's who'd made millions in food service technology. He loved the concept and agreed to mentor us. She set up meetings with potential angel investors from her dad's network. I should have seen the signs. How she started taking more control of meetings. How she began talking about my platform instead of our platform when she thought I wasn't listening. How she started scheduling calls with investors without telling me first. But I was too focused on building something amazing to notice my partner was planning to build it without me. I trusted her completely. That trust was about to cost me everything. We even picked out potential office space together. A small startup incubator downtown, with exposed brick walls and standing desks. This is where we'll build our empire, she said, taking selfies in the empty space. I believed every word. 3 months later, on a Tuesday morning that started like any other, I got a text that changed everything. Check out TechCrunch. Congratulations, I guess. Emma. Emma was a mutual friend from business school. The message confused me, but I clicked the link she'd sent. What I saw made my blood run cold. There was Calista, smiling in a professional photo, standing next to a huge banner that read FoodLink Pro, revolutionizing small business success. My platform. My design. My idea. Even the color scheme I'd chosen. The article called her a visionary 22-year-old entrepreneur who's set to disrupt the small business management space. It mentioned her $200,000 seed funding from private investors and quoted her talking about months of careful market research and development. My hands shook as I read every word. Features I'd designed. Problems I'd identified. Solutions I'd developed. All attributed to her genius and vision. My phone rang. Calista. I answered without thinking. Surprised, she said, not even pretending to sound sorry. Her voice was different. Colder. More confident. Calista, what the hell is this? Business, sweetheart. You were taking too long. I had to move fast. That's how the real world works. But we were partners. We had an agreement. We had conversations. Nothing legal. You should have been smarter about that. The casual cruelty in her voice hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't the friend I'd trusted with my dreams. This was someone I didn't recognize. How could you do this to me? I whispered. Easy, she said. I saw an opportunity and I took it. That's what successful people do. I drove straight to her apartment, my chest burning with rage and disbelief. My whole body was shaking. I'd never felt anger like this before. It was consuming everything else. She was waiting for me in her doorway like she'd been expecting me, arms crossed, wearing a smile that I now realized had always been calculating. How could you do this to me? I shouted, not caring if her neighbors heard. We were supposed to be partners. We were supposed to be friends. She laughed. A sound I'd heard thousands of times before, but it had never sounded so cold. Partners? Please. You had an idea. I had the execution. I had the connections. I had the money. What exactly were you bringing to the table besides concepts? I brought everything. The research, the design, the technical knowledge, the understanding of the market. That you gave me for free. That was your choice. I never forced you to share anything. The way she said it made me realize this had been planned. Maybe not from the beginning, but at some point, she decided to cut me out. And she'd been setting it up for weeks. I trusted you. That was your first mistake. Business isn't for you if you can't handle this level of competition. You're too naive, too slow, too emotional. I did us both a favor. She walked to her floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the city skyline like she already owned it all. Face it, you would have failed anyway. You don't have what it takes to run a real business. At least this way, the idea gets to succeed with someone who can actually execute. Those words hit harder than anything else. Not just because they were cruel, but because a part of me wondered if she was right. I spent the next week in bed, eating nothing but cereal and whatever leftovers I could find in my fridge. The curtains stayed closed. The phone stayed off. I felt sorry for myself in a way that was both pathetic and overwhelming. My mom called every day worried. My other friends tried to cheer me up with texts and surprise visits. Nothing worked. Emma brought me groceries and sat on my couch, trying to convince me to fight back. This isn't over, she kept saying. You can still do something about this. But I felt defeated. Completely and utterly defeated. The worst part wasn't losing the business opportunity. It was losing someone I thought I knew. Someone I thought cared about me. Someone I trusted with my biggest dreams and deepest insecurities. I kept replaying every conversation we'd had, looking for signs I'd missed. Has she always been planning this? Had our entire friendship been fake? How could I have been so stupid? But on day 8, something shifted. I was scrolling through social media, torturing myself by looking at Calista's posts about her innovative startup, watching her celebrate at fancy networking events with people I'd never met, and something inside me snapped. Not broke, snapped into place. She was right about one thing. I had been too slow, too trusting, too nice, too willing to believe that everyone had the same moral compass I did. But she was wrong about everything else. Dead wrong. I wasn't weak. I wasn't naive. I wasn't destined to fail. I was just inexperienced in dealing with people who had no conscience. That was about to change. I got up, showered for the first time in a week, and sat down at my laptop with a determination I'd never felt before. If Calista wanted to play dirty, I'd show her what dirty really looked like. But I wouldn't just copy her. That would be stooping to her level. I'd do what she couldn't. I'd do it better. Bigger. More authentic. More successful. See, while she was busy stealing my idea, she'd missed the most important part. The idea wasn't just the platform itself. It was understanding what small businesses really needed. And spending 3 months watching her operate had taught me exactly what they didn't need. They didn't need someone who saw them as dollar signs. They didn't need someone who prioritized investor meetings over customer needs. They needed someone who understood their struggle because they'd lived it. I started making calls. Real research. Not investor meetings. Customer meetings. I reached out to every small business owner I'd ever met. My mom's contacts, family friends, local restaurant owners, food truck operators. Tell me about your biggest challenges, I asked them. What keeps you up at night? What would make your business life easier? The answers were gold. Pure gold. And they were different from what Calista assumed investors wanted to hear. For the next 6 months, I lived like a monk. No parties, no dating, no social media except for business research. I moved back in with my mom to save money and worked 3 jobs to fund development. Morning shift at a local coffee shop from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Afternoon tutoring high school kids in coding from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Evenings and weekends building my platform, researching competitors, and talking to potential customers. I was exhausted constantly, but it was a good kind of exhaustion. The kind that comes from working towards something meaningful. I called it Small Biz Sync. Not flashy like Calista's FoodLink Pro, but authentic. Real. Honest about what it was trying to do. While she was busy networking at fancy events in designer dresses, posting Instagram photos with fake smiles and inspirational captions, I was in diners at 7 a.m. talking to restaurant owners about their real problems. While she was pitching investors on hockey stick growth projections, I was learning about the day-to-day struggles that kept small business owners awake at night. The difference became clear fast. Her platform was built for investors to be impressed by. Mine was built for users to actually use. Every feature I added came from a real conversation with a real business owner about a real problem they faced. Every design choice was tested with actual users, not focus groups hired to validate assumptions. Some nights, I worked until 3 a.m., then got up at 5:30 for my coffee shop shift. My mom worried about me, but she also understood. She'd watched me grow up with big dreams, and now she was watching me fight for them. "I'm proud of you," she told me one night, bringing me coffee while I worked on user interface designs. Not just for working so hard, but for not letting what happened break you. That meant everything. Month 7, everything clicked. I'd found my developer, Thatcher, a freelancer who'd been burned by big tech companies and wanted to build something that actually mattered. My designer was Odette, a recent graduate from art school who believed in the vision and was willing to work for equity plus a small salary I could barely afford. We weren't just building software. We were building a lifeline for people who'd been ignored by the big tech companies. The first beta test was with my mom's catering company. I installed the system on a Friday afternoon, spent the weekend training her on the features, and watched magic happen. Within 2 weeks, her orders doubled because the automated marketing features were reaching customers she'd never been able to connect with before. Her stress level cut in half because everything was organized in one place. Her profit margins improved by 30% because the inventory tracking helped her reduce waste and optimize pricing. But the best part was watching her confidence grow. For the first time in years, she felt in control of her business instead of controlled by it. "Honey, this is incredible," she told me, tears in her eyes. "You built something that actually helps people." That's when I knew we had something special. Not just a product, but a mission. Word spread fast in the small business community. Not through press releases or investor announcements, but through results. Real business owners talking to other real business owners about something that actually worked. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Calista's progress. And it wasn't looking good for her empire. Foodlink Pro was struggling. Turns out, building a platform for investors instead of users has consequences that show up eventually. Her customer retention rate was terrible. Businesses would sign up, try it for a month or two, then cancel. Reviews on business forums were mixed at best. Several restaurants had publicly complained about hidden fees, poor customer service, and features that looked good in demos, but didn't work in real situations. But she was still riding high on that initial funding, still posting success photos on LinkedIn, still acting like she'd already conquered the business world. Still getting featured in 30 under 30 type articles that focused more on her story than her results. I stayed quiet about my progress. Let her think I'd given up. Let her think she'd won. Let her think I was still sitting in my childhood bedroom, crying over what she'd done to me. That was my second biggest advantage. She had no idea what was coming. My biggest advantage? I actually cared about solving the problem, not just making money from it. Every decision I made was filtered through one question. Does this actually help small business owners succeed? Her decisions seemed to be filtered through a different question. Does this make me look successful to investors and media? The difference was about to become very, very obvious. 1 year after she stole my idea, I launched Small Biz Sync. Not with a fancy press event or investor announcement. Not with a PR campaign or influencer partnerships. Just a simple email to the 50 business owners who'd helped me test and refine the platform. "Thank you for helping me build something that actually works," I wrote. Small Biz Sync is now live, and it's everything we dreamed it could be. Within 48 hours, those 50 had become 200 as word spread through business owner networks. Within a week, 500. Within 2 weeks, 1,000. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful when you actually deliver on your promises. When businesses saw 20 to 40% revenue increases within their first month of using the platform, they told everyone they knew. Local news picked up the story, not because I pitched them, but because business owners were calling them, talking about this platform that was actually helping instead of just taking their money. Local entrepreneur builds platform that's actually helping small businesses thrive, read the headline in the Denver Business Journal. The article featured interviews with 6 business owners who'd seen dramatic improvements. That's when Calista finally noticed. Her first call came on day 10 after launch. "What do you think you're doing?" Her voice had an edge of panic I'd never heard before. "Business, sweetheart," I said, using her exact words from a year ago. "You taught me well. This is copyright infringement. This is theft. You can't just copy my idea." "Actually, I can copy my own ideas. The one I shared with you. The one you stole. The one I've now executed better than you ever could." The silence on the other end was beautiful. The next few months were beautiful to watch. Not in a cruel way, in a just way. Businesses started leaving FoodLink Pro for SmallBizSync. Not because I poached them or offered them deals to switch, but because I served them better. Lower fees, better support, features that actually worked instead of just looking impressive in screenshots. The difference was obvious to anyone who tried both platforms. Mine was built by someone who understood the problems. Hers was built by someone who wanted to profit from them. Calista tried everything to stop the hemorrhaging. Price cuts that destroyed her already thin margins. Feature updates that seemed to break more things than they fixed. A marketing campaign that focused on attacking my platform instead of promoting hers. She even tried calling me multiple times, suggesting we collaborate or find a way to work together. "You had your chance to collaborate," I told her during one particularly desperate call. "You chose competition instead. You chose betrayal instead. You chose to laugh at me instead. This is different. We could work together now. Combine our platforms. Share the market." "Funny, Calista, you laughed when you stole my idea. Told me I was too slow, too naive, too weak. You're not laughing now." I hung up. It felt better than I'd expected, but also sadder. The friendship we'd had was really dead. But business wasn't personal. It was just business. By month 18, FoodLink Pro was hemorrhaging money and customers. Calista's investors were asking hard questions about user retention, customer satisfaction, and revenue projections that kept getting revised downward. SmallBizSync, meanwhile, was growing steadily. We'd helped over 2,000 small businesses increase their revenue by an average of 40%. Real numbers. Real impact. Real success stories. The contrast was stark. My platform had a 94% customer retention rate. Hers was hovering around 31%. My customers were posting success stories on social media. Hers were posting complaints. I got a call from Jareth, one of her original investors. He wanted to meet about potentially funding SmallBizSync. "Calista mentioned you two worked together initially," he said during our coffee meeting at a downtown cafe. His tone was careful, professional, but I could hear the underlying frustration. "Briefly," I said, before she decided to go a different direction. "Her direction isn't working. Yours clearly is. The numbers don't lie." He laid out exactly what I'd suspected. FoodLink Pro was burning through cash with nothing to show for it. Customer complaints were mounting. The board was getting restless. "We're looking to cut our losses and invest in something that actually works," he said. "Your platform is everything we hoped hers would be." He offered 3 times what she'd originally raised. I accepted, but not for revenge. For growth. For the thousands of small businesses still struggling out there who needed what I'd built. The irony wasn't lost on me. Her own investors were now funding her competition. But that wasn't my doing. That was just business recognizing results over promises. The end came faster than I expected. FoodLink Pro shut down on a Tuesday morning in March. No warning to customers, no transition plan, no attempt to help businesses find alternatives. Just a simple email saying we're no longer able to continue operations effectively immediately. I found out about it the same way everyone else did, from angry posts on social media from business owners who'd lost access to their data overnight. The unprofessionalism of it shocked even me. Calista called me that afternoon, crying. The confident, sharp-tongued woman who'd laughed at my naivety was completely broken. "I lost everything," she sobbed. "My funding, my reputation, my future. Everything. The investors are threatening to sue me. My dad won't even take my calls." Part of me wanted to comfort her. The part that remembered late nights in college, sharing dreams and believing in each other. The part that remembered the friend I thought she was. But the bigger part remembered her laugh when she stole my idea. Her smug smile when she told me business wasn't for me. Her casual cruelty when I confronted her. I didn't come back to compete, Calista, I said quietly. I came back to win. Please, she whispered. Can you help me? Can we work something out? I'll do anything. You had your chance to work with me. You chose to work against me instead. I hung up. I haven't spoken to her since. The next day, my phone rang nonstop. Business owners who'd lost access to FoodLink Pro overnight were desperately looking for alternatives. I'd prepared for this possibility and had a team ready to help them migrate their data to SmallBiz Sync. We helped over 400 businesses make the transition in less than a week. Free of charge. Because that's what you do when you actually care about your customers' success. Last I heard, she was working at her father's restaurant supply company. Full circle, I guess. Her LinkedIn profile describes her as a business development associate, and she hasn't posted about entrepreneurship in over a year. Do I feel bad about what happened to her? Sometimes. But then I remember I didn't destroy her. Her choices did. Her lack of integrity destroyed her. Her willingness to betray a friend for short-term gain destroyed her. I just chose to succeed despite what she did to me. I chose to build something authentic instead of something flashy. I chose to serve customers instead of impressing investors. Here's what I learned from this whole experience. Never share your dreams with everyone, even friends. Some people will see your ideas as opportunities to steal rather than opportunities to collaborate. Betrayal can break you or build you. The choice is yours. You can let it turn you bitter and small, or you can let it fuel your determination to prove everyone wrong. And success? Success is always the sharpest revenge. But not just any success. Authentic success. Success is built on integrity, hard work, and genuine value creation. The real lesson isn't about revenge at all. It's about authenticity versus performance. Calista built something for show. I built something for use. She focused on looking successful. I focused on being successful. She prioritized taking from people. I prioritized giving to people. When you build something real, something that actually helps people, something that solves genuine problems, that's when you create lasting success. When you build something just to impress others or get rich quick, it crumbles eventually. The market always rewards authenticity in the long run. Customers can tell the difference between someone who cares about them and someone who cares about their money. If this story hits home for you, if you've been betrayed or stolen from, or told you're not good enough, remember this. Protect your ideas until you're ready to execute them. Trust wisely, but don't let one bad experience make you stop trusting entirely. Never stop grinding, never stop improving, never stop believing in yourself. Your comeback is always bigger than your setback, but only if you choose to come back stronger, smarter, and more determined than before. The world needs what you're building, but only if you're building it for the right reasons. Build it to help people, not to hurt them. Build it to create value, not to extract it. Build it to last, not to impress. Subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. And remember, your story isn't over yet. The best chapters are still being written.